Yeah.
Now I don't know. I don't remember if I've met you or if I've met your brother before. Have we met
I,
before?
I don't think so. I think you might have met my brother.
Okay, yeah. I was down at some dinner party, tea party thing at your mom's house, and God, what's your brother's name?
Zach? Yeah.
Zach, yeah, and his girlfriend. I met them. All right. So,
Yeah.
you know what, Zach's what? I assume you're roughly the same age. What has been your professional history, the kind of work and jobs and such you've done, and how did that impact what you wrote about?
Well, I was unemployed for quite a while during the recession, and it was really frustrating. I picked up some odd jobs, kind of like in through construction. I spent like a couple months actually sweeping the floor of of a hospital that was being built. And from that, I was able to. I felt like this has got to change. So I decided that I got a job writing online content for marketing purposes. And I
Hmm.
was working that for a while, and I felt as I felt like just a little bit undervalued while I was working there. But fortunately, I was able to talk to some of the more successful people. It's like why do I still not feel good about where I am? And through some of help, I was able to find a much better job through much better pay. And I feel it's a job I really enjoy with people I really enjoy. I feel like it's really thanks to the sort of principles that I learned.
So obviously you're an insightful guy, right? I would guess at a relatively young age. Of course, Housem, you need not weigh in because Housem would say everyone's relatively young compared to the old geezer. But so how did you gather this knowledge, man? I mean, because everything you're saying, and again, I got to read your book, is just completely spot on. It sounds like someone who's been there and done that for a whole lot of years. So, how'd you gather this knowledge so, again, relatively quickly?
Well, one of the thing is like there's you ever see like the movie Network, right? Where he's like
Yeah,
where he says like I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore. It's
exactly.
like really it was frustration. It was getting to that point. It's like a lot of people they sort of like they sort of like they're not 100% happy with their life, but they do their job or like they sort of live their life, and then so they go home, they play video games, they watch reality TV, they tune it out. But and they sort of like suffer kind of on a low level. Sometimes it takes you to get to that I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore kind of state before you like make realize something has got to change, and that something has to change energy sort of inspires you to learn as much as you can from books, from people, and from people who look like they've got things figured out. And so that was really it. That was sort of like I was sort of inspired to make a change, and that sort of inspired me to learn as much as I can. What exactly is about the world that I'm not quite getting? And so I decided that I was going to learn it.
You know that idea, just that realization and the question that you just asked. What is it about the world that I'm not quite getting? You know that separates you from about 98% of not only your peers, but all of the rest of our peers as well in terms of, I mean, that's a tough thing. That's a tough thing to come down to fundamentally realize, you know what? I'm awesome, but not that great.
Yeah, yeah. It takes some humility, because it's like you gotta like you gotta realize that something has got to change, and what I have most power over is myself and what I do and what I think and my actions. That's what I have the most power of in the entire world. So I need to exercise, where my power is if I want to feel a change in the world.
And see, the question, what is about the world that I don't get, is a good one. But what you just said without saying it is, what is it about me that I don't get? Because Look,
Yeah.
anytime someone needs to better their lives, better their relationships, better anything, the first person that they need to look at is the person looking at them on the other side of the in the mirror. And I used to say the great American pastime is procrastination, and so between not admitting one's own faults and responsibility for where they are in life is actually I don't know if that's worse or knowing what they are but just not doing anything about it, man.
Yeah, here's the thing about procrastination is that if you're procrastinating, if there's something important you got to do, there's something you got to study, a project you got to work on, but you play video games instead, it's because in that moment you don't really believe that the report or the project or whatever it is you're working on is going to give you as much pleasure as that video game. You just need to shift the mindset. You have to have a kind of certain level of faith and belief that, if I work on this instead of playing the video games or whatever it is I'm going to do, then my life will be better. And if you really believe that in your heart of hearts, then you'll choose the project. You'll choose the project that makes your life better 100% of the time. It's like, it's just a lack of belief, I think, in what you're doing if you procrastinate.
Okay, that's absolutely huge. Now we've got a question from one of our listeners. By the way, Logan, it's not from Diane or Mike. By the way, okay. So and I don't mean Miller. The Mike I'm referring to. Could you ask how much of this knowledge came at all from his father?
It actually came a lot. My dad is a businessman. He works as a general contractor. It's a really rough business, and it's one of those things where it was really important to him growing up. These sorts of success philosophies like Napoleon Hill and everything like that. But something Abraham Lincoln said is like, it doesn't matter how tall your grandfather is. You have to grow yourself. And it's like, and as I sort of grew myself, I sort of saw the insight that these sort of personal success philosophies had.
There's also this, there's always this this thing of fear of failure related to procrastination, and you also hear people talk about fear of success. What are your thoughts there?
Again, it comes down to fear of failure. It's like it's so weird when the people procrastinate because they're afraid of failure. Because if you procrastinate, it guarantees failure. If you don't act on what's important and improving your life, then it guarantees that you're not going to progress. You're not going to make any steps towards what you want. And for fear of success, I guess that really just comes down to a fear of change.
People hate change, don't they?
Oh, it's terrifying. If people get comfortable, people are like, even if it's not 100% ideal, it's like, well, my life isn't that great. I'm kind of frustrated most mornings when I wake up, but I think I can deal with it as long as nothing terrible happens, no big changes happen. It's scary for people, yeah.
Multitasking here. Okay, we've got a couple of minutes left, Logan. So tell people once again where to get the book, how they can follow you. In other words, as we say on the show, it's time for you to pimp yourself.
Well, listen, you just go to Amazon.com if you type in Harsh But True. And I'm sure we're going to throw up a link on the site too. Yeah, you can go ahead and buy it. It's available for $2.99. And I think that if you're a person who's struggling with life, anything like your job or just where you are is frustrating you, I think you're going to have a lot to gain from it.
Man, listen, we really appreciate you being on the show. You and I know Michael too, because he, a business owner, we all sing from the same sheet of music, and it's awesome that you put this thing in print. We need to read it. Thanks. We need to have you back, man.
I'll be happy to be back.
All right, Logan. Thanks for being on. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me, guys. Bye.
Okay, Logan. See you later, man. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, so the first question, because you know the mother, you know the brother. About how old is this guy?
I guess Logan is 30-ish.
See, dude, when I was, well, I won't say what I was doing when I was 30, but that he is, I told him and I meant it. He is insightful beyond his years when it comes to personal success.
Yeah, and I think I think that was partly that question generated by one of our favorite listeners is pointing out that the guy was raised in a home with those kinds of ideas and values. And it's intended to be kind of a book towards millennials. So, I mean, I don't know exactly, but I'm guessing he's,
Well, sure. I
late
think so
20s, early 30s, and that is not the vibe. I mean, I hear that kind of thing. Honestly, I hear those kinds of comments coming from a guy like that. I'm like, okay, maybe there actually is hope for our future. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do. And, you can read various things from, well, you can read whatever you want about millennials because it's across the board. But, and this not need be, what shall I say, racially directed, but back again to his comment about his father and your comment about a whole family. This is what, in urban America and certainly other places, the breakdown of the nuclear family and children born, to single mothers. And I mean, dude, it is so apparent. A, he's right, and B, why what's going on those who don't, grow up that way are almost doomed to fail.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Absolutely right.
Right.
Well, I will certainly put up the link to download for this book, no question.
Hey, real quickly, because I know we got a couple of minutes, but this this breaking news, I think you sent me this, but it's on Weasel Zippers too, but Mayor of Paris now says the city is going to sue Fox News over this claim that there are no-go zones in France. What do you think about that?
Aren't there no-go zones in France?
There, without question. I've said the same thing. I have to read more deeply into this thing. Of course, not for the today because I will be preparing. I would just be too excited to even focus because I mean the speech is little more than 5 hours away. So I won't be able to focus on anything else. But of course there are. I've said this on the show. Whether it's official or it's a wink and a nod, within Paris, entire neighborhoods have been ceded to the Muslims. Was there a ceremony and a paper signing? No, but it's just known that these are Muslim areas, and it's not real good idea for non-Muslims to enter these no-go zones. So this is pretty interesting.
Well, interesting to me here is that it's for attacking the honor and the image of the city.
Yes.
Having nothing to do with the truth of the claim.
Yeah, and of course, radical Muslims can protest in the streets and attack France and the society and the fact that Sharia will rule. I'm pretty much guessing that the mayor of Paris is not suing them.
I think that's safe to assume.
He doesn't want to have his head sawed off with a dull knife. Look, we're at a minute. I can't believe it. You got to take us out of here.
All right, folks, thank you so much for listening. We will be back tomorrow, and it will be a chunk about what the president has to say, what the president did not have to say, and what we would have liked to hear from our president of the United States. Signing off for Mike Miller, this is Michael Hausum of The Right Mics. Thanks so much for listening. Please go later today to our site, therightmics.us, for archives and links to all the stuff we're talking about. Thanks again, and have a good evening.
And tell your friends to tune in. Send them the link. Send them the link on Facebook. Send the link.